obviously a pretty significant challenge with Manor this week. What do you see on film from him and just what he does well?
Yeah, he's a really good receiver. I think he tracks the ball well, makes a lot of contested catches, and anytime you have a guy that can do that, you have to have guys that are strong enough and athletic enough to be able to make plays on the ball because they're going to try to get the ball to him in critical situations on third down when they get in the red zone, and my guy's got to be up for the challenge.
How does he rate against guys that you've faced this year?
I mean, I hadn't seen him in person, but I think he's one of the most elite receivers we've seen so far. Had a chance to watch a lot of film on him from last year when he was young, and he's much improved from where he was last year, in which he had a good year. So I've got a lot of respect for what I've seen so far.
You feel with the way Dorian, Mansour, and Dante have played this year that they are more than equipped to match up with him?
Yeah, I think we've got a unit that can match up against anybody, but good players on scholarship too. They're gonna have good days, so it's not a matter of them being good enough. It's a matter of them making the plays when they have an opportunity to make them. But I feel good about any matchup, between those three guys right there and him. It's just a matter of them going out there and being ready to play and seizing the opportunities when they arise.
With the talent that you have across the board at corner, is this a situation where you don't have to have one guy to shadow him wherever he goes? Can he
no, without a doubt. And the thing about it is, much man-to-man as we play, a lot of people can scheme you, and especially when you play field and boundary like we have in the past with Mansour and Dorian. But with Dante emerging, that allows us to be able to do some other things. So you also don't want to be predictable by the series as to where one guy is going to be lined up, because you look at it as the corners in the corners playing boundary and field, but there's also certain calls that go with that they can get predictions on. So, at this point in the season, you're trying to play chess with the coordinators, not just the quarterbacks or whatever. So I don't want to move those guys, and probably every series we're probably going to do a little something different.
I've noticed a lot of times, like Dorian, whether he's lined up with Jalen, Mansour lined up with Mose, they're communicating with them, talking with them a lot. How well has the communication been with your group this year, with the Pilos group?
It's been really good. And again, I go back to, the scheme that which we play on defense, we've got to be on the same page. I mean, you've got a safeties coach, you've got a corner coach, you've got a safeties room, you've got a corner room, but we're on sides of the ball all the time. And there's a lot of different routes where people give you condensed routes, bunch routes, where the communication has to be the things that we've worked on out here at practice and in the meetings to be able to get that done. You just can't line up out there and assume that guys know. And then, Mansour and Dorian are both now veteran guys, and they've been around a while, and I've been coaching them for 3 years, and Pilo's got some guys he hadn't quite been coaching that long, so they've probably got a little bit more of a voice than normally corners would have.
How do you feel coming out of the Miami game, where obviously a pretty talented quarterback on the other side put up some numbers, but you also had some picks and some big plays that you guys made as well?
I feel good about it. For me, I've coached against Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Johnny Manziel, Jameis Winston, all guys who were very similar in style to the guy we faced the other night. So I think the guys were pretty prepared going into it. But again, when you've coached as long as I coached and you're playing against someone that talented and a team that talented, they're going to make plays. And I was really proud of the way the guys responded throughout the game. We got a little bit tired there because of the humidity. It's something that we're not used to, but they fought through. And, it comes down to a situation where you go back and look at film and you know that your guys gave themselves a chance to win and gave our team a chance to win every snap. You can't be anything but encouraged.
The 2 picks, encouraging sign there. And I know they weren't cornerbacks necessarily, but Dorian did have the tip on the one that led to the pick.
Yeah, those were things that we work on. Just what I was talking to you guys about a few minutes ago, being able to work along with the safeties, making calls. Dorian actually came over with the motion, made a call to Mose Phillips, and they were able to execute the call. And, the quarterback never saw him, and that's why you do things like that. When you're playing against somebody that talented, you've got to try to do things on your side of the ball to disguise a few of the things that you're trying to do.
Andy asked you about their top receiver, but Bachmeier seems to be a guy who has a nose for the end zone as well. How good is he as a number 2 receiver to Manoa?
Again, I think they've got a very respectful receiving core. I mean, he's a guy that probably doesn't get the credit, but they've actually got about the same amount of catches, with the other guy having probably 12 or 13 more targets than he has. So, when they go to him, he makes plays. He does a really good job of taking the short pass and running with it, and that's a different element, of it. It's kind of like when you look at us, you've got Cornfelt and you've got Jalen Lane. They're 2 different guys or whatever, so you have to have a different skill set to deal with each one of them. But I think they really complement each other well.
besides the top three, your cornerback room seems like Thomas Williams has seemed to have gradually come along. The same with Jonathan Penix, who's getting some special teams work. How's the depth at your rooms so far through 5 weeks?
I feel pretty good about it. I mean, having done this for a long time, you're fortunate if you have 4 or 5 guys that you feel good about putting in the game. Naturally, Thomas hadn't gotten the snaps that the other guys have gotten, but he's right there, probably along with the guys were last year that were playing in those backup roles. But the key element to it is we've got 2 really good starters, but those guys can only play so many snaps. And one of the things that you have to do is you don't look at just one game, you look at the course of a season, and you got to try to take snaps off of those guys. So I got to continue to bring Thomas along, get him in there a little bit more so that we have a Dorian Strong in the fourth quarter and we have a Dorian Strong game 12.